All right, guys. Congratulations to the North Georgia Piper, Skylar. In celebration of his 1-year YouTube channel anniversary, he is doing a giveaway and he's asked us to make our own blend. This is a blend that I've never tried before, but last year I had done a few blends. And in addition to creating our own blend, sorry, I'd back up a little bit. In addition to creating our own blend, Skylar wants us to do a VR where we present our review of that blend. So last year I did a couple of home blends. They were both they were 50% Dark Fire Kentucky with a variety of Virginias and Burleys in addition to that. And I wanted to do something different. I wanted to try my hand at creating an English blend, but I wanted some Burley in it. And my understanding is that an English with some Burley in it is called an American English, because usually English blends don't include Burley. They are Virginia, Latakia, and Orientals in varying amounts. So once we start throwing in some Burley, it's called an American English. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm open to corrections. So there is a great book that you can go out and get. Information's here. If I don't know if that's too small to read on this little notepad. The website's called fairtradetobacco.com. There is a free ebook there called Blend Your Own Pipe Tobacco by Robert C.A. Goff, G-O-F-F. And that particular ebook has 52 pipe tobacco recipes that you can download and buy your own leaf and blend and try. A cool thing about that ebook is that it also includes labels. So if you jar it, you can print off the label and you can put it on top of your own jar and store it and know exactly what it is you're smoking. So Fair Trade Tobacco is a website that sells loose leaf tobacco. In this recipe, it calls for dark air-cured tobacco, which, based on my understanding, is not necessarily Burley. But today what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the dark air-cured tobacco with the AAA bulk Burley that I got from Pipes and Cigars. And then the Burley at the bottom of the recipe here, I'm going to just use white Burley. So I'm going to make those substitutions since I don't have the exact other parts. For the Oriental, I'm going to use some Smyrna. I also have some Turkish, so I might do this recipe again, just switching out the Oriental tobaccos to see if I can tell a difference between those two components. Again, I have not tried these components on their own, so we're going to blend them together and see what we come up with. So this particular recipe is broken down into 16 parts. In this recipe, 1 part is going to equal 1 gram. So I'm going to measure them out into this little bowl, and then I'm going to place everything cumulatively into a larger bowl, and then I'm going to blend them really quick. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep half of the recipe loose, and I'm going to press the other half for about a week. And then when we come back and do the tasting, I will try the loose versus the pressed side by side in celebration of Skylar's 1-year anniversary. So let's get to it. Let's start with some Latakia. So the Latakia is the predominant part of this recipe, and this is very beautiful smelling Latakia. Very fragrant. So we're going to do 6 grams of this. All right, we're a little over. One thing to be aware of when you're buying blending components is that they do tend to come dry. So just be aware that you may want to rehydrate them to some degree. I have not done that, so I'm using these exactly the way I've received them and jarred them. As you can see, I've had them for, roughly 5-6 months now. All right, so there's a Latakia. Number 2 is the Smyrna. We're going to just do 1 gram of this. The Orientals tend not to be super fragrant out of the jar. The tin note is not super fragrant, but when you burn them is when you get most of the fragrance that the Orientals are known for. Again, just my understanding from what I've read thus far. We'll see how that goes. Next, we have the Bright Virginia, which is a yellow Virginia. And this is 2 parts of 16, so we'll do 2 grams of this. From there, we go to Red Virginias. And this we're doing 3 parts, 3 grams. Then we get to our dark air cured tobacco, which in this case, again, I'm replacing this with some AAA blending Burley. Just 1 part here, so just 1 gram of that. And lastly, the white Burley, 3 of 16 parts, so 3 grams of this. All right. Here we go. So we have our mixture here. Again, I could sit here and blend this by hand and, get a pretty decent blend going on here probably. But what I'm going to do is throw this into a herb grinder and just kind of force the blending here. That's also going to chop this into smaller pieces, which will impact the burning rate. These are all fairly long cut or coarse cut, so we'll kind of even the cut out a little bit when we do this. I'll be right back. All right, here we go. I may have pulsed that a little too much, but since we're going to be pressing this, it's going to get rid of a lot of the air in there, so I'm not too upset about that. So let's go ahead and measure out half of this. So again, this is 16 grams. I want to measure out an 8-gram portion. 8 grams would probably be about 2 to 3 bowls of tobacco. So this is a very healthy sampling that we're getting here. All right, so let's go ahead and prep the press. Again, this is a mini tea press called a pollen press or an herb press. All of the ones that I have purchased, I've gotten off eBay. So I want to start off by, I want to seal off the bottom with a little bit of wax paper. So I'm going to cover this bottom insert with the wax paper. Slip that inside, wax paper up so that it touches the tobacco. And then we will insert the tobacco. So all 8 grams may not fit in here, but if we compact it enough, it might. We'll see how this goes. We'll fit in as much as we possibly can. Having the finer cut with the press, again, allows you to get more in because there's less air, less room around the tobacco. So I'm getting pretty full here with hand pressure. So let's go ahead and use the press and see if this can help us out a little bit. I'm not going to use any wax paper just yet. I just want to get this on here and see if I can use a little hand pressure to compact this so we can get more in. I'm getting quite a bit of movement here with just some hand press. I'm going to get a rubber holder. Nice to have a solid grip on this as you're doing this. All right, so I'm going to back this off and see how much more we can get in here. This is going to be a very large, firm plug here. All right, that's going to be about as good as it's going to get. The rest of this I will just put with the other remaining 8 grams. Oh, I need to put some wax paper on the top here before I close this up. So I'm going to leave this for at least 5 days. Today is Tuesday, the 21st, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll probably come back, give this an extra quarter to a half turn each day for the next 5 days. And in my experience, what the pressing does is it brings a extra layer of sweetness to the blend. As you press it, you start breaking down the cellular walls of the leaf, and that allows for an extra type of fermentation that you wouldn't normally have without the pressing. So here we go, guys. This is the blend. In the book, it's called the Kentucky River Blend. This is what I would call an American English. Excited to share this with you guys. I'll see you in a couple of days. All right, we're back. Here we are. So this is Saturday morning. It has only been about 3.5 days since we started this pressing. That's probably the shortest pressing that I've done, but that's what my time allows at this point. I do need to get this recorded and posted because I will not have time in this coming week to get this up before Skylar's due date. So we're going to open up the press. We're going to check out the plug and we're going to cut it up. I've got 2 Missouri Meerschaum Legends here, and then we're going to pack one with the loose. We'll pack one with some cut plug, and then we'll smoke it and see what we think. All right, so back off the pressure here off the top. Take this label off so that it's not in the way. So the top is going to be important to push it out. But you got to let the pressure off the top. So let the bottom off. Then we will, again, using some sort of a gripping tool will be useful in this instance. Very nice looking plug here. So this really isn't a plug, this is a crumble cake. A crumble cake is loose tobacco pressed together. A plug is, in real terms, layers of whole leaf tobacco that get pressed together. So this is a crumble cake. Now a crumble cake, when it's fresh out of the press, it is hard as a brick. And you let this sit, let it marry, it will expand and become loose. And so a lot of the crumble cakes that we buy off the shelf, they pull apart very easily because they've had time to expand and loosen. Plugs tend to be pressed for longer with more pressure. They tend to stay firmer, whereas crumble cakes tend to loosen up quite a bit. But anyway, here we go. So set this aside for a moment. Get a cutting board here, and let's shave some of this off. That's plenty for one bowl. Rub it out a bit. Try to get some of these bigger chunks taken care of so that they don't affect the burn rate of the bowl. There, very nice. All right, so the orange stem Missouri Meerschaum legend here is going to be the cut plug, ready rub, as they would call it. And that was the perfect amount for a good bowl here. We'll pull out the loose. Again, I overly blended this. This is a very fine cut. This is what you would hope for if you're going to make a cigarette out of this using a tube loading machine or something like that. You'd want a pretty fine cut like that so that it didn't clog. But anyway, so we have the black stem with the loose. We have the cut plug with the orange stem. Let's go ahead and give this a try. Good morning. Welcome back, YTPC. Thanks for joining me on this Saturday morning. You just saw me open up the press, cut a crumble cake, and pack some pipes. So we're gonna just jump right into this tasting experience in celebration of Skylar's 1-year anniversary. Thank you again for the very generous GA opportunity, Skylar, and I hope you guys find this interesting. I'm excited to try this recipe. This is the first English style blend that I have tried from home. As I'd mentioned when I did the original portion of this, I consider this an American English in that it contains Burley, and Englishes generally don't. So my understanding is that would qualify as an American English. We're gonna start with the loose, and then we'll go to the pressed. It was only pressed for 3.5 days. I don't know that that is going to be enough to notice any differences, but only one way to find out. So here we go. I have not done a true light on this, so I'll probably speed up the lighting process here. That is as good as any basic light English I have tried. This rivals early morning pipe. Now I'm going to have to try early morning pipe next to this. The Latakia is not hitting me over the head. The Orientals are present. There's a nice floral is as close as I can get, but it's more herbal. The sweetness of the Virginias are there, and there's a nice base nuttiness from the Burleys, and this is great. I'm afraid that the way the world at large is going in relation to tobacco is that companies blending and distributing tobacco is going to become very difficult, very expensive, maybe even illegal. And if you're going to want tobacco, you're going to need to buy the leaf and process it yourself. Companies might be allowed to process tobacco components, and then again, like I did here, you buy the components separately and blend them yourself. At that point, hopefully the experienced pipe blenders in the world will open their little black books to us and share with us their secrets of blending. I think those that will be most left behind in the pipe tobacco world down the road a ways are going to be the aromatic lovers. Making an aromatic blend takes some additional talents and skills and resources that are not necessarily available to everyone. Whereas throwing together some loose leaf components and getting something this pleasant, pretty damn good. That's a keeper in my book, guys. All right. So usually my experience with the pressing of a blend is that it makes it a little sweeter. Let's try that. See how the crumble cake, again, only 3 days of pressing in that little mini press. We'll see what we get. The Latakia presence is dialed back and the Virginia presence is brought forward. Still have that nice florally essence, that floral herbal essence that the Oriental brought. And I'm amazed that it was only one of 16 parts. 6.25% of the blend was the Oriental, and it's that obvious of its presence. It's different. It's definitely different. also very enjoyable. Less like early morning pipe. The loose version, again, I'm going to have to try those side by side because very nice, light English. Well, guys, this recipe is a keeper in my book. I have lots of these components and will be able to make plenty of this when my heart desires. I hope you got the recipe. I'll make it available in the bucket as well. I'll make sure there's a link to the blending book that I referenced also down in the bucket. Skylar, congratulations. Love your content. Appreciate all you do for the community. And congratulations on the baby coming. Happy to hear everything is progressing. Watched your video that you released last night with the updates. And look forward to hearing more from you and seeing your family grow. Everyone, remember, life with a pipe is better than without. Bye for now.